kita berikan sedikit masa lagi untuk kita tunggu Dr. Ha. And today's topic untuk pillow talk kita adalah tentang a quest for work-life balance. Is it possible? So I believe that this topic is very important to each of us. Maybe bukan untuk yang dah bekerja je, mungkin juga untuk mereka yang masih belajar, part-time studies or moms out there, how to balance our daily life demand. And okay, Dr. Ha dah masuk dah.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum. Apa khabar?
Waalaikumsalam. Alhamdulillah.
Syiffa, Alhamdulillah.
Khabar baik. Dr. Ha sihat?
Sihat, Alhamdulillah. How's your Sunday? Starting baru kan?
Ya, dah masuk autumn, so it's very gloomy, rainy.
Well, dia kalau bila masuk autumn, nak masuk winter tu, dia start balik lah. You know, that mood yang easily bring you to the negative and you know, even though not full frank kiranya overt depression tu, tapi it tends to be inclined towards there lah. Tapi tak apa, hari ni I think a very important topic on life balance. Yeah, okay. The question is it possible? Of course it is possible. It's up to you sebenarnya kan. It's up to every one of us lah kan. Okay. Sila, Syiffa.
Okay, thank you Dr. Ha. Okay, macam biasalah when we have this pillow talk, I always curate the topic yang I suggest, and then kalau Dr. Ha setuju, kita akan continue kan dengan topik ni. And usually apa yang Syiffa suggest adalah dekat dengan diri, dekat dengan circle, orang sekeliling. And I believe that today's topic is very important, especially for the youth out there lah. Sebab you know, when I have some talks with my parents, auntie, uncle yang dah bersara, Dr. Ha pun mungkin orang yang berpengalaman kan, yang dah bersara, yang almost nak bersara, they always said this to me lah, yang I feel like diorang kata it's okay, kerja je kuat-kuat, but it's very important for you to not forget spend time with your loved ones, dia kata. And then I have this talk with one of my friends here, tapi umurnya dah peringkat makcik-makcik lah dekat island ni kan.
Okay.
Dia katakan, you know, when you're at 20s, you have a lot of friends, but you cannot catch up with whom you want to spend time. Dia kata, especially when you are abroad, dia kata, you feel like it's a very it's a commitment for you to spend your time, dia kata. Tapi dia kata, and then you need to work some more. Dia adalah Chinese, dia kata. So dia kata, and then you need to work some more. So you choose wisely lah, and you need to appreciate the work-life balance you have here. The people in Malaysia, they find it very hard to get it, but you need to appreciate the work-life balance you have here. So I was like, I'm not the one who struggle about the work-life balance kalau kita fokus kepada kerja 8 hingga pukul 5 tu. Tapi disebabkan ada komitmen-komitmen lain, kadang-kadang macam I don't feel like I have time for myself macam tu. And I think this is quite close to others yang dekat Malaysia jugalah, especially saya tengok kawan-kawan kerjanya habis pukul 5 tapi sampai rumah pukul 8, pukul 9 sebab jam kan. So it's very hard actually to have this work-life balance yang well, it's a quest and Dr. Ha kata possible. So yang Syiffa nak huraikan hari ni, bila Syiffa tengok work-life balance ni, dia ada 3 perkara lah yang mungkin kita boleh sentuh sama-sama Dr. Ha. It's actually related with time management when we talk about work-life balance kan. So the first one is the physical needs of ourselves, and the second one is emotional needs. Emotional needs ni dia akan berkait dengan our time to socialize and if we feel burnt out. And the third one is very important but rarely speak among the society, which is the spiritual needs. for ourselves as well. Because sometimes we work very hard but we forget to spend or take time to focus on these three things kan.
Okay.
So yeah. So Dr. Ha boleh tak Dr. Ha share with
Hmm.
us
Buku tu, okay.
maybe okay share with us why do you say at the first place Dr. Ha kata it is possible and it depends on that person.
Okay. Right, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Shifa. I'm always looking forward for this pillow talk because this is a time where I will be challenged to sort of answer your question kan ya. And so funny Dr. Har tak ada pun kata no, I don't like that question macam tu ya. So I just and I think this time we are talking about balance ya, and life balance. Let me just go straight to the point ya. You were actually categorizing it into the three needs tu kan. In a way, it's linked to my proposal ni, how you are going to get your life balance. Dr. Han nak propose a terminology called life balance, which is one word, one noun with the small b. So dia jadi macam a whole capsule of life balance. And this is what I've taken from the book with that same name, Life Balance, which was written by a couple, Linda and Richard Ayer. This couple has written many parenting books semua lah. Tapi I think I like this one most dari sudut life balance tu because they propose. I ingat I macam ada buku ni tadi tapi tak tahu I letak kat mana. Tapi it was well, selalu kalau tahan nak pergi kedai buku ke, nak pergi ni book exhibition ke, I always feel excited because I do not know which book is going to pick me and choose me. It's rather than kita yang pilih buku tu, but I always feel that is the book that has chosen for me first, you know. So that was a book that I bump into dekat Payless shop. Ingat lagi masa tu dekat Ampang Point tu. It was just a small a second hand bookstore. And then this life balance ni macam terselit kat tepi macam tu tau. So tapi my eyes was really catching that up and I was agaknya masa tu tengah Syiffa agaknya bersorang ya. I bawa ada seorang anak. I'm doing my masters, my specialty degree dengan on callnya dengan apanya lah. But I guess that was what I feel that it is actually the book that has chosen me lah. Yeah? So okay, I pick it up, murah je because it's a second hand. And then Linda and Richard Ayer ni dia propose 3 life balance. Okay, 3 types of life balance. Satu is the goal balance, you know, keseimbangan matlamat. Secondly is the priority balance, iaitu keseimbangan keutamaan. And this is where time management comes in. Okay, and the third one is an attitude balance. Keseimbangan sikap. And of all the 3, I think the last one that I've gotten was the attitude balance. And after I finally, you know, have that balance ingrained in me, so I nampak yang the third balance tu, the attitude balance tu is actually the one that fine tune everything. Okay, now let me explain dulu. Of course, Linda and Richard Ayer tu dia explain taklah straightforward macam yang Dr. Har explain ni, tapi you can get it that, you know, when you're talking about goal balance, it is the why, the big why. And why are you doing things that you are doing kan? Jadinya and in that book dia kata macam, you know, you can have just a very short term kind of goal which is just, you know, you want to eat, you want to have you know, kalau hierarchy of Maslow, hierarchy of human needs tu yang bawah-bawah tu, you know, the basic needs lah kan ya, which is important, but of course you cannot just live due to that. Okay, yang buatkan life you imbalance is because when you are just focusing on that. Tapi sebenarnya you kena ada juga ya the higher inspiration tu. And if you go into the Maslow hierarchy, it's actually the last 2, yeah, from the top tu. This is actually esteem and worth. And of course yang atas sekali tu is self-actualization. You finally find your potential, you maximize, you know, your potential. So kalau dia kata kalau misalnya you're just looking into yang bawah-bawah aja without really thinking about the higher tu pun is imbalance, ataupun you fokuskan yang higher tu aja, all the philosophical things, yang bawah-bawah tu you tak peduli sangat pun tak boleh juga. Okay, so untuk kita, for us who are Muslims, I think I'm sure you know where I'm going lah kan, but you have to really make sure that whatever you do, will have an impact here in this world and of course in the year after as well. Yeah, so I can relate to that goal balance. So that's the first balance you have to have. Whatever you do must have, you have to think of both. Okay lah. So to me the worldly punya gain untuk kita dunia ni is actually more of yang the lower short term tu. Tapi of course the higher inspiration transcendence kind of thing tu is actually untuk akhirat kita kan. So it's very simple. Apa-apa yang kita buat, start with why. Innamal a'malu binniyat. I think it's very Islamic pun So katalah, so this is the 4 equation Satu, it is something that is so much favored in this world, if you are thinking about doing something, and that the same action will be rewarded very handsomely in the akhirat. Allah will honor you with his promise of Jannah kan, for instance. So yang benda tu you kena buat banyak-banyak because that is definitely for your balance. And before that, sebenarnya that in the Quran Allah has clearly said that you have to run after the reward of akhirat but never forget about your worldly gain kan. So it means that is actually the kind of balance we have to have. The one is, even here in this world, it is actually considered a crime, for instance, a big offense, and you are going to be imprisoned for it kan, macam tu, under the law. And also in the akhirat, it is also going to be punished by Allah by just throwing you into hellfire. Yang tu jangan buat. That one don't do it because that is going to really tip off your balance in this life lah kan. Okay. No matter, you might be having the whole cartel for yourself and you are enjoying a very good life, but that's dirty money lah in a way kan. No. Okay. Alright. There's another question, the third one, where most probably in this world it is so much hype, but in the akhirat it has no value at all. Benda lara ni kan, so benda yang this is always full, so try not to do it lah, sekali-sekala maybe, once in a while, but that's not supposed to be the aim of your life. And the fourth one would be something that most likely not even being noticed by people in this world, but your name has been mentioned time and again by those in heaven, so that one you have to do kan. Okay, so that is the first balance, Syiffa. So the second one is the priority balance. Okay, this is bila you kata work-life balance, I think this is actually where you really want to talk about. Tapi to me, without the goal balance, this one is also going to be difficult because now it is the priority balance. What is your priority? And of course, if you are somebody who believes in the year after, your priorities are going to be different than those who do not believe so, kan? Those who are not sort of, subscribe to that kind of belief. So to me, the goal balance must be there first. Then it will actually determine your priority. Now, priority balance is very important in the sense that you know which one to prioritize. And if you see people who are successful, people who seems to have a very stretchable 24 hours as compared to you, it is mainly because they can set their priorities right. And the key to this is flexibility. So for those people who are, very rigid, very fixed mindset, it's always things to do today, tu kan, having this tick, semua tu, it's going to be very difficult, because you really need to be very flexible here. But that doesn't mean that you are not good. In fact, that is actually how you navigate. Okay, so what is it to be prioritized? So now, in this book, dia cakap pasal 3 things, One is actually your achievement, secondly is your relationship, and then of course your own self-care. So, Linda and Richard Ayer was very, very persistent in saying, don't forget your self-care too. You as the, so it was being described as a triangle. Okay, I'm sure you have heard of this. So at one age, one of the corner is actually achievement, which is related to our career and our work. You know, this is actually your achievement as a manager, an achievement as a consultant, your an achievement as a politician or a businessman. That is achievement. Okay. Another one is relationship, and this is actually your social connection tadi lah. Okay, your connection and the social bond with your family and your friends, yeah, and your relatives contohnya kan. So, but remember, the one that is going to determine this, yeah, between these two, is actually you, yeah, the self-care too. So now, uh, and the relationship between achievement and a relationship is this, you know, when you are focusing more on achievement, you're going to get less of relationship. You have to sacrifice and compromise that in a way. But if you are going to be focusing on relationship, most likely, most often than not, you have to sacrifice the achievement as well. Okay? So that's why sometimes agaknya for you who are not married yet, for instance, so you can really achieve in terms of, you know, you get your PhD and then you go, you know, everywhere in this world to gain good paid job, for instance. Kan kat Malaysia, you know, payment is so you know, much less, and then you pergi kat tempat ni. So you might be able to choose that, but of course, it's at the expense and you know, something has to go, and this is relationship. You're so far from your parents kan. You are not yet married, for instance lah. Kan? Jadi benda tu lah. Tapi of course, I'm sure you know of a friend who are very ambitious when they were in you know, undergraduate, but then now that they are married and having maybe one or two children, and they decided, no, I just want to stay at home because now my family is my priority. And of course, these people who choose to be stay-at-home mom, they might have to shelf sekejap. Dia punya, you know, their achievement so far tu lah nak getting all that. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about this, as I said, kan, kalau yang ni satu berat, then the other one is going to be, you know, at the expense of that. If you know, focus too much on family or achievement, then of course your career, your you know, you're focusing more on your relationship, and of course your achievement and career is going to be compromised in a way, kan? Jadi this is like a seesaw, you know, macam jongkak-jongkit sikit. Like, and of course the most important thing in a seesaw is the fulcrum or the pivot. Ya, bahasa Melayu ada sangga dia tu. And that sangga, unlike those or that pivot or fulcrum, it is not like, you know, the seesaw that is at your playground. It stays there, you know, and the plank would be like equal, kan? And of course, you know that you have to be of the same weight in order for you to be able to balance this. Yeah, you're talking about it being in a straight line, lah. Yeah, okay. But of course, in life, there are times when commitment, work, and achievement might be demanding more of you. For instance, my usual example would be when my student at the end of her final semester for her postgraduate study, be it master or PhD, and so at the end of that, she has to come up with the thesis or the dissertation, kan? So that is a time where, you know, the other side ni, most probably anak-anak and all the family members ke, let's say she has 3 kids, you know, the bigger 2 kids has to go balik kampung lah, you know, and she might just have to look after the first one, I mean the smallest one, for instance. This is actually how you unload sikit, because now the achievement is very heavy, you know, and then of course for you to be able to do that, you have to ringankan sikit kat sana tu, but of course you as the fulcrum or the pivot has to move now towards the achievement. But that's not for long, that's not forever. That's why if you are not able to be flexible, this is when you become so imbalanced lah. Yeah, every time it's just achievement at the expense of family, then you get imbalance. Or it's just family first, for instance. And then usually you are not going to achieve anything even though you are actually capable of doing so. Then it's still going to be very imbalanced. So it's your wisdom actually to see which one actually needs you. And of course, katalah, after you gotten your PhD, and then suddenly one of your child is quite sick and requiring frequent admission in the to the pediatric ward, for instance. And this is the time where you have to focus here, you know, because this is now becoming very heavy. Sometimes masuk dia, the flexibility of you too. But of course, at the same time, you don't forget about yourself, because you are the one who is the most important in this equation and in this triangle, kan? If you are sick, then of course you cannot actually juggle this. So this is actually when you would realize that, you know, just like in the flight safety briefing, kan? When the oxygen mask actually drops from the above compartment, you have to actually put it on yourself first before you help those who are under your care. Yeah? Because, you know, when you are lacking oxygen, you just pass out. And let's say you have 3 kids coming and flying out with you now. And of course, here being a mother who is, our instinct is to make sure that these 3 kids are all well. So you did not really, if you do not put the mask, yeah, you might be able to help the 2, and then the third one tu, you tak sempat pun because you are already blackout. And of course, when the kids see the mother blackout, they cannot do anything because they are still kids. But let's say you follow the instruction, you put the mask first on you, that will take some time. But yeah, you need to have that oxygen so that you would not black out, because that is actually what happened when you are under low pressure, okay? So you can actually help the first and the second. And let's say before you can come to the third child, the child maybe black out, you know, because of lack of oxygen. But since you are well oxygenated, you can actually do something about that. Yeah, so I think that safety briefing is very apt lah, you know, the analogy. Okay, so now, this is when you need to know the fiqh awlawiyat, you know, actually the rulings of what is more priority. And this requires a very, I would say, high capacity brain to actually look into all the resources and all the alternatives and finally make the best balanced decision. Okay, all right. And of course, the third one would be your attitude balance. Attitude balance. The beauty about attitude balance is that, you know, even though you are so well planned, kan, you still need to prepare for the unplanned. Okay, there must always be a space where perkara yang tak dijangka tu, you know, things that you are not expecting, you know. So when you are so disciplined, you still need to have some kind of spontaneity as well. Okay, don't be too disciplined. When you are so structured, kan, you need to also make way for something which is unexpected. Okay, so this is not really not planning or just leave it to the, you know, untung batu, untung sabut timbul, untung batu tenggelam. No, you work hard, but then of course you and for us as Muslim, again, this is actually rukun iman, you know, the sixth one, percaya kepada qada dan qadar Allah. And this is when you realize that in Al-Baqarah, Allah has reminded us that, well, sometimes you do not, you know, you do not like something which is good for you, but sometimes you like something which is actually bad for you, kan? Yeah? So this is when we are, you know, we try our best, we do our level best, and then we leave it to Allah. And if it does not work, then most probably because it's not good for you. So you always have that shock absorber. And to me, that attitude balance is the one that is, you know, last time I always feel very irritated when people book my weekends, for instance, on a Saturday for the talk. And then just maybe, you know, less than a week, they call you up, the organizer and say, oh, we have to postpone or cancel because of some circumstances. The project has not been approved yet. Budget is not here. Something like that. So I used to be quite pissed off with that. You know, I feel irritated. And sometimes I say, I would appreciate if you actually, you know, tell me 2 weeks ago, or maybe, you know, book me 2 weeks, 2 months. And then suddenly just another 2 or 3 days cancel. So because if you cancel that earlier, I can always slot in another you know, another invitation, yeah, because yelah kan, yeah, there are so many invitations, but I need to actually honor my word to, you know, as I have promised you suddenly. So this is the time where I feel like, what a waste, kan? But now no more. Now no more. After I got my attitude balance, well, of course, everything is planned, but suddenly when the organizer told me that, we have to postpone your session. Wow, I will be jumping up and down because, now I have a weekend, a Saturday morning, which is, nothing there.
Yeah.
And that is the time where I realized many other good things happen. Okay, so I cannot wait. So that is actually my attitude balance. And that balance up my life rather than feeling very upset because your plan, does not work out. And this is actually, I would conclude by what the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned in his hadith, Ajabali Amril Mu'min. Yeah, it started off with that. Miraculous is the affair of the believers. Okay, everything is good, mainly because he or she believes. So if Allah gives him or her something good tidings, he and she will actually be grateful to Allah. Yeah. But if it is actually something, a challenge or a tribulations, then, he or she will be patient, and that is also good for him and her. So, when my father actually explained this hadith to me, I remember he was quiet for a while. He paused, and then he said, "You see, nothing is actually not good for you."
Yeah.
So that's why Rasulullah SAW taught us that if you are, you are being bestowed with something good, yeah, then you should praise Allah. Alhamdulillah, Hilazi bi ni'matihi tatimmu salihat. Yeah, so you praise Allah who actually has allowed you to have this good thing in this good tidings, and beneficial for you. But of course, if you're being, you know, challenged or given some kind of test and trial in life, then you still praise Allah for that. Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. Yeah, thanks Allah for everything. So I guess that's why I say it is possible, providing you actually have all these three balances. Yeah, your goal balance, your priority
Priority
balance,
balance
and
and
of course your attitude
attitude.
balance. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, untuk audience yang menonton, topik yang dibincangkan, kita ada pin dekat bawah. And if you have any questions, boleh je tulis kat situ. Nanti Dr. Hab kita akan sama lah menjawab. Because we are actually exchanging. Bila kita cakap pasal pillow talk ni, macam Dr. Hab selalu cakapkan, it's actually like maybe our heart to heart session. Cumanya dekat sini dia tak malam, so tak adalah pillow dekat Malaysia malam. So sementara tu Dr. How, I think it makes me want to ask you the next question, which is bila Dr. How kan kata tadi we have the goal balance, priority balance and attitude balance, and then we put ourselves sebagai the pivot ataupun sanggah tadi yang kita kena move ourselves. But sometimes in our life, for example, bila kita bekerja dengan orang lain yang melibatkan banyak pihak kan, and it comes a challenge yang melibatkan communication. And yang ni di tempat kerja lah. And then usually it's more like communication with superior contohnya. For example, there are a lots of articles or macam orang kata we need to learn to say no. But sometimes in a work life kan, it's very hard to say no. Especially if it's here, it's okay because we really respect each other punya hak. Tapi I think it's very challenging, especially in Malaysia or in an organisation yang mana macam Dr. Ha kata tadi is not flexible enough untuk kita kata no ataupun maybe to seek help from our colleague. Do you have any tips from your previous experience ke yang macam Dr. Ha boleh share dengan kita? Bila kita nak macam kata no, macam nak kena extra hour, nak kena ganti contoh doktor, nak kena ganti on call and everything. Can you share with us?
Okay. Actually, I don't know. I got this feeling that you think that, you know, when you are in Cork agaknya, you got more balance than when you are here. Let me correct you. I feel so much balance even though I'm here. Okay,
Yeah,
it's not really. Of course, the working environment, the
yeah, yeah.
ambience, and you know the surrounding would help in getting balance. But this is actually where human being becomes so resilient. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Kalau tak kan, Syiffa, you always feel that balance come from outside. No, balance
yeah,
comes from within you. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Now, let's say you are in an environment, tak kira lah any place in this planet where you say that your organization is a bit more rigid and not flexible, kan? So that is definitely going to be more challenging. Of course, if you're working in a 24-hour punya public service like the
Yeah.
hospitals, kan? I've been you know, in clinical work for so long. Of course, we do not have the luxury of coming by 8 and then going back by 5. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Betul.
But and then we have to be in the ward pula, kan? So macam mana orang macam I ni, we all actually got our balance, kan? Okay.
Yeah.
First, it has to start with the niat as well, kan? And we know very well that kita pergi hospital tu bukannya nak seronok and enjoy. You know, it is actually a calling. It's a servitude, you know. And by serving these people, you're serving Allah. So itu satu lah, you know, there is actually a graph that shows sense of balance is actually very much related to how much it align with your core values. Okay, so you can imagine if it's a StreamYard ke apa, I can actually share the slide kan. Tapi it's okay. Can you imagine? It's a very simple graph, but let's say the vertical axis is on sense of balance. The higher it is, the more balance you feel, kan? Okay, and the horizontal axis is how much you align to your core values. Okay, now in the starting point of that graph, you know, where there is actually very little alignment to your core value, then you're really down there in terms of sense of balance. You are overwhelmed, you are overstressed, you are burnt out. Tapi as you know, as time goes, this alignment with core values becoming better, the sense of balance is going up. And when it reach one part where, you know, most of your core values are all being aligned, the sense of balance really shoots up. It's like a hyperbola. I think it makes sense. You know, when it is actually up to your core value. So for us who are working in serving all these people, we have a core value where we feel that this service is actually not just serving human being, but serving Allah, kan? So you're busy, definitely. Sana nak makan pun tak sempat. But when you're doing this, you know, to make somebody who is sick and then becoming well, and you see this person walking out of the ward, and you know that every single, you know, time that you do not sleep, even with a single wink tu pun, Allah will have, you know, documented that. So the sense of balance is there because our core value is very much aligned. Kan? Okay. But then, of course, there is the ideal lah. Later on, when you are burnt out, apa semua tu, then of course, you dah tinggal, you know, I want to help people, tu tinggal, I just want to help myself. So you become indifferent. Then this is the time where when people burn out, you know, they start to have, you know, lack. It is one of the symptoms is when they become depersonalized. So it's no longer, you know, something they value. Kan? Dulu, yeah, you know, so that is actually burnout. So this burnout is actually when you do not feel the sense of balance lah. Okay. All right. So now, coming back, beside the nawaitu and the goal balance, the other thing is communication, as you said. You must be very good in, you know, training yourself to be assertive. So assertive is actually a win-win, kan? You respect other people's opinion or, you know, requests, but at the same time, you will stand for your rights. Yeah. So this is, to me, you know, I learned to do that as I mature, most probably in my ni. I realized that the more assertive I am, the more I can say no. And in terms of negotiation, it's really what is intended to be negotiation. You know, I remember one quote saying that in a negotiation, everybody will leave that discussion table unhappy, you know, or unsatisfied, because some part of what they want has to be sacrificed and compromised. That is negotiation. If you are saying, okay, let's nego, but everything is up to your terms, that's not negotiation. Okay? Okay, so, all right. So to me, of course, there's a lot of negotiation. The next one is actually there's a lot of, I would say, tak banyak berkira sangat, yeah? There's a lot of give and take. When I'm quite free, let's say my husband is at home and you know my children are well, I might take up a little bit more duty that would help my friend who is on call. You know, but and true enough, when I'm on call, somebody would have stayed back, even though I'm not expecting them to do that. So that is more of this mutual understanding and respect for each other. And if you have this kind of support, kan, this is a support system actually, you will feel your life more balanced. Let's say anak you tiba-tiba tak sihat. You know, these are all unexpected thing, kan. But because you have actually covered up your friend when her child was not well, so of course now it's just very easy to call her up and say, look, my daughter seems to be, you know, I need to send her to the clinic. I said, okay, go ahead, I'll cover you. Macam itulah. Tapi kalau you ni yang jenis berkira, kan, oh, no, this is my time, me time, it's important for mental health. Okay lah, gasak lah you. So it's always me and, okay. So now, I guess kan, it would be difficult kalau misalnya in an organisation where they don't actually work together as a team, kan? There's very little collaboration, there's very little give and take, yeah. Of course, there are rules and regulations, Syiffa, that is actually intended to, you know, put everything in order. But of course, there is such thing as budi bahasa, kan? Budi bicara, sorry. There is always this consideration, yeah, mutual consideration and understanding. So that is important sebenarnya. Tapi macam ni je lah, you know, what you give, you'll get back. Yeah, kalau you are very calculative, kan? You hardly help other people. So tunggulah masa you are in trouble, nobody is there to help you lah. Kan? Yeah, it's the rules of life, kan?
Betul.
Okay.
Sebab apa yang Dr. Ha kata betul, give and take. I think benda tu kan melibatkan empathy kita, kan. I think now when people nampak lembut dekat luar tapi very hard dekat dalam, kan, hati keras. Macam semua tak nak tolerate, tak boleh. I think I learned that a lot juga because I got moved to another workplace, but it's actually macam Dr. kata is of course melibatkan flexibility and everything, and sometimes we have to stay back late, who need to volunteer and everything. But this is how when Dr. Ha kata komunikasi and you need to be very assertive. And I think kita akan learn lah along the way, kan. Benda ni mula-mula kerja, especially when we are the new kids in the
the
team.
newbies.
The newbies, macam okay, we do it. But we really need to have the wisdom lah. Kadang-kadang we need to say no as well. And I think
don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel guilty about it, yeah? Because especially kalau you have your entitlement for leaves, you are taking your cuti rehat, for instance, and then pejabat call you up, you have to say, you know, quite assertively saying that I'm on leave today. I think this one can wait until tomorrow when I come back to work. Macam tu, kan?
Betul.
I know some of the boss kadang kacau you masa you punya Sabtu Ahad, kan, ya. You just need to remind, because these people sometimes say lah anak-anak dia dah besar semua, so Sabtu Ahad tak ada kerja, ni ingat betul kerja je. I have a boss once like that, you know, tiba-tiba pukul 10 malam hari Friday, kan, Friday malam tu kita dah penat sangat. Kita tengok dia chat lagi, I mean dia WhatsApp lagi, nak kena buat ni, nak buat tu. And of course dia tulis dekat WhatsApp office, kan, group. Everybody is so quiet, tak respond kat dia, and then later, hello, anybody You know, I'm requesting this, somebody please answer. Semua orang tak berani nak answer, so I lah yang answer. I kata, it's not that we tak dengar atau tak baca, tapi I think, can we wait until Monday? Kan? Lepas tu dia kata, okay lah. Because kita tahu, you know, if it's really urgent, then we can really, but these are things that can be discussed on Monday. Okay? So, lepas I kata tu, okay, sorry you all, later I got carried away. Lepas tu I dapat personal message, thank you Kak, thank you. Tapi tak berani nak cakap, no, you have to lah. That's
Yeah,
your
we
right.
need that person. Macam contoh lah, you are that person yang berani lah kan. Untuk ni, kalau tak, kejong je semua orang macam, even me myself, I think, oh nampak berani tapi akan fikir 10 kali, patut ke tulis sebab takutlah maybe kita yang kena aim ke nanti dengan orang atasan berani bercakap pula. But,
okay. That is
Okay.
another topic lah. That is another topic about not wanting to be the bad guy. Kan?
Yes.
Maybe because it's in the culture of the organization that whoever speaks out, you know, for whatever reason, and that seems to be macam contradicting to what your boss have instructed, kan? It's always being labelled bad. Yeah, but how come bad pun, you know? But if you can do that assertively with a lot of respect, you will end up gaining the respect of your boss ni. You know, so your boss at least dia tahu kalau hari Sabtu before dia nak kacau you tu, ni hari Sabtu tak apa, tunggu Isnin. Macam tu lah. Kan? Ini tak, yes boss, yes. Your wish is my command. And then, you know, there just too many things in your plate. Lepas tu you burn out, you collapse kat situ. And then because you have not been prioritizing. So sometimes, you know, when you are having some assignment and you need to focus on that, sometimes I've been the head ke, sometimes kita lupa tahu apa yang kita assign sama dia. So and we always sort of inevitably we remember the most efficient and the most competent among our staff. So ended up dia je dapat, and dia ni pula tak pandai cakap no. So I realised that boss tu bukannya nak bully you atau macam mana. You okay, of course you feel impressed lah kan, you feel happy that you're being trusted, but again you have to know how much is your capacity. And so katalah dia dah bagi you 2 assignment dah, tiba-tiba dia panggil you lagi, you can just say, for the time being I'm focusing in these 2 assignment, remember? Selalunya tak ingat kan? And then you suggest lah, I think I know so and so I can actually do this as good if not better than me. Maybe you can assign that person and I'm helping him or her. Barulah. Ini tak pula takut nanti bos sayang orang lain pula. Tak boleh lah gitu kan. So it is really up to you sebenarnya kan. So that team spirit and collaboration is very important. Sebab bukannya you je yang kena balik lambat every night. Kan? Kenalah bergila-gila pula. Kan? Sometimes boss hantar you for assignment for instance kan, because you are really a good negotiator. Then you need to prioritize lah which one yang most probably you can send somebody else. And you negotiate lah. Okay? So and one more thing, to me when you are overwhelmed at your workplace, apa tanda dia? What is the symptoms of overwhelmed here in terms of ni? When you feel that I cannot take leave now because there are so many things I need to do gitu tu kan. So my sister had a very I think I would say a very paradoxical advice, but it works. You are not the only person at your workplace. If you think you're efficient, other people are efficient too. Okay? And if you start to feel that, I cannot leave lah, I cannot take this leave, this annual leave because kalau I tak nanti tak tahu apa nak jadi, this is the time when you need to go and take your leave. Because now you become a liability to everyone else. You know kan, Syiffa, throughout my life, I know that when I'm around, people start to say, okay, harada. So I become their comfort zone. I become, macam tu habis lah you. And you pula jenis yang, you feel your worth is that, when people
Yeah.
tak engage you into that, you feel so, oh, they don't, they disregard me and everything kan. Susah lah macam tu. So it will be yes all the way lah, because you want to impress your boss kan. And then you bit off more than what you could chew. Bagus je. But then of course, this is the time where you know that if the job is well distributed, then everybody has an opportunity to feel a part of the organisation, and of course lah nak naik pangkat bersama-sama. Yeah. So that is important sebenarnya. If the spirit of comradeship tu is very strong. Tapi kalau memang nafsi-nafsi je, me myself I and mine tu, yeah, that would be hell. So if you think that you tak boleh nak ambil cuti tu, masa tu you ambil cuti. Okay, of course lah, people are not happy apa semua, but this is my sister, just take. Nak kata, of course I tak encourage you all for EL lah ya. Tapi sometimes I guess this is your right to actually just suddenly feel that I need a break. So when you are not in your workplace for a day, those assignments are going to be completed juga by somebody else. You are not indispensable. Come on lah, Where are we indispensable? We are indispensable when it comes to family. To me, there's no substitute. There's no alternatives. I remember this chicken soup. Chicken soup for the soul. Dia kata when I was young, I thought I can change the world, but the world, is not changing. So I thought I can change my country, kan? But then my country pun tak boleh nak change juga. So I thought I can change my community or my village. Again, it's not easy. So now at the death date ni, I realized if only I spend more time with my family, I would have the energy to maybe change my community, and then of course changing yourself first, transforming yourself, transforming your family, and then your community, and then of course your country is going to be better, and who knows, you can actually change the world. So it's actually, it has to start with you dulu, and starting your priority itulah. To me, especially kita yang kerja ni kan, Syiffa, to me the family remains to be number one. Jangan you jadikan macam tak apa, ada orang nak jaga anak you, it's up to you lah. You balik lambat pukul 11 itu kan. You need to, katalah kadang-kadang tu maybe you need to stay back jugalah, but not every night. Because same goes with guys as well, bukannya mak saja. Okay, especially if you have toddlers and you have those under the primary school punya age. Okay, because you need to see and interact with them. Not to say that when your anak-anak dah adolescent pula, you might spending less physical time together, but the emotional bonding has to be very strong now. So this is important in you all, so that there would not be interference or when your children, unfortunately, because you were not really giving priority to them, so they become wild sikit, and they might be friending people who are not supposed to, and they get into trouble with the police and the authority, and the next thing you know, you have to bail him or her out of the jail. Now that's a red flag. That your life has not been balanced, and the one who is actually affected by that is definitely your family. Okay.
I really glad Dr. Hassan topak tu, because for me, okay, well, regardless single or married, but I think it's very important for us yang single pun to know about this, because sometimes there are your friends already married but want to spill out to you, nak luahkan perasaan about tak cukup time, and I really actually love the conversation when it comes to about this parenting, untuk seimbangkan masa. Sebab I think that is a real struggle now for the young parents out there to find the balance for family bonding and for their career as well. Especially lah, I think it will be very difficult lah if before you get married, you are very career oriented, and now you have extra commitment to pay your attention. So dekat situ agak mencabar. And it's really good when Dr. Ha stress out kan, because family, you know, tak ada galang ganti. But back to the first point, sometimes kita kena move kan kita punya pivot tu kan, ke mana
Yeah, you
priority
got it.
kita.
You got it, Syiffa.
Yes.
So it's
um,
you sebenarnya yang make that priority tau. Let me just touch a little bit on this topic kan,
yeah.
especially when talking about relationship and family kan. Family ni memang to me it is your sanctuary lah sebenarnya tau.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course kalau you balik rumah tu clean kan, everything is in order gitu. So I decided very early in my life, in my married life, especially when we start to have our baby, masa I pregnant sebab tu, we talk about, you know, the reality and being realistic lah rather than ideal. Firstly, you need to plan the arrival of your children by choice, not by chance. Okay, yang ini pun ada orang ada isu juga kan. Tapi well, I guess most of us will realize that that is actually part of, you know, planning for a balanced life juga. And kalau kita tengok dalam Quran tu, anak-anak kita ni kita susukan 2 tahun penuh baru kita sapihkan, and that gives an indirect you know, suggestion that in these 2 years there shouldn't be a new baby coming in or new pregnancy. Macam itulah, kan? So then you have time for everyone. You have time for you to get back to your, you know, more or less your child is not going to be too dependent on you and your husband juga. So there will be more time for you and your husband juga kan. And really lah, Syiffa, since you realize this, you might be able to just volunteer to look after anak-anak, you know, your friends while they go out sekejap kan. They need that, you know. They need to reconnect sebenarnya kan.
Yes.
And this is where I think for sisters yang belum ada tanggungjawab keluarga tu, you know, Allah will bless you for that lah kan ya. So because they really need that time kan. So tu satu, and they yang penting ni is when they reach the second phase of relationship, which is power struggle. The first one is romantic tau. Romantic ni semuanya wangi, semuanya cantik. Dia punya bau ketiak dia pun wangi, dia punya angin pun okey. Tapi when it comes to power struggle, this is the second phase according to Susan Campbell. This is where you start to, ni tadilah, your punya priority, okay, your communication, your goals, and your attitude as well. Attitude balance ni to me is very important, especially kalau you are a perfectionist. Okay, because the world is not perfect kan, okay. So this is the time where you both show your true color. Okay, right. First tengok-tengok, kita punya goal pun different. Yang tu yang susah tu. Kan? Tu pun dah can actually flare up your power conflict tu, is it your goal or my goal? That thing should be sorted out lah before kahwin kan. Tapi well, sometimes you know, sebelum tu ya je, ikut ayang. Rupanya dia lain kan, okay. And then secondly, the priority balance. Kalau you are still me, myself, I and mine, and the other person pun macam tu juga, wow, this is going to be power tension because it is now me versus you. So there will be competition all the way. There will be a lot more, you know, if the analogy is like, you know, pulling on the, it's not tali tau. It's not a rope. It's a fine thread. One side husband you pegang, satu lagi you pegang. So kalau you dua-dua nak tarik, nak ikut you aja, putus lah. And then that would be power tension. And in marriage, a marriage that is, you know, facing power struggle and choosing, you know, not really choosing lah, tapi ended up tak ada siapa yang nak bertolak ansur pun kan. It will not reach 5 years. Kalau Gottman Institute tu dia kata 4.7 years. That's the average where before they finally divorce lah. Kan? And of course bila divorce tu bukannya senang. Kata okay I divorce. Kalau ada anak seorang dah kat dalam tu, ada 2 orang pula anak. So there's a lot more things kan. Okay. Now the second outcome when you are in power struggle tadi tu is what we call as power sharing. Yeah. Now power sharing is when ini yang kita nak lah sebenarnya. This is the most ideal where me plus you equal to we. Kan? It's now becoming like a synergy ataupun sharing lah. There's give and take. You know, in sharing is that there cannot be just one person giving and another one person taking. You know, it has to be alternately, kan? Orang ni tarik, again with that analogy, orang ni tarik tali tu, yang seorang lagi kena kendurkan. Tapi nanti petang ni, yang ni pula yang kendurkan tadi, dia pula tarik. So the other person pun kena kendurkan. So when this happen, this is when you actually have collaboration. Yeah, it's a win-win situation rather than the win-lose. And this is harmony lah. Yang ini yang kita nak sebenarnya. But of course, there's the third one. The third one is what we call power imbalance, whereby throughout the marriage, one person become more and more dominant, and in order to make sure that you know fine thread is remaining intact, one more person tu kena ikut aja lah. You know, that can be the husband dominant or the wife being dominant. Kan? So the whole marriage is moving towards that person's direction, and that person is always, you know, very aggressive juga at the same time, kan? So this marriage seems to be able to go to the next one lah, which is stability and commitment. But unfortunately, if it has always been in balance, it will not reach the fifth level, which is bliss. Yang sakinah ni. Tak, because they might be staying together, especially the one which is suffering, the one that is always having had to submit ni. There will be a breaking point. So selalunya bila anak-anak dah kahwin, anak-anak dah pergi college, when they find themselves have to live together je, masa itulah yang the one yang all this while diam aja tu, dia akan ambil the action lah. Either it's going to be officially a divorce, ataupun there might be still husband and wife but living, you know, estranged, kan, so banyak ni, kan, hopefully we can actually come up with the power sharing. This is part of life balance as well. In a couple where life balance is better, they always have that power sharing punya ni. But if there is actually imbalance, it's either ended up with power tension tadi or power imbalance lah. Okay. Ada soalan ke? Tak ada soalan ni. Semua dengar je. Mel lah, tanyalah soalan.
Tanya je soalannya. Dr. Ha, sementara yang lain tanya soalan, as usual, most of the question I have here, I got it from the Q&A box yang Syiffa buat sebelum buat live.
Okay.
So some of it Syiffa alter sikit lah. And the other question ni adalah tentang sleep procrastination, which I think I'm facing it as well. Sleep procrastination ni is a fancy word or a right term lah, yang bila mana kita rasa kita tak ada cukup jam dalam satu hari, so we tend to korbankan masa tidur kita untuk kita buat benda yang kita tak dapat buat waktu masa the day time lah. For example, when we are caught up with work ataupun the other commitments. Me myself, I think that okay, memanglah kerja sampai pukul 5, but I put myself to handle all the other commitments yang menyebabkan macam alah tak cukup masa. Macam contoh, I want to read books or watch movies. Kadang-kadang orang kata baguslah baca buku, tapi kalau baca buku sampai stay up pukul 2-3, like if you are caught up in a novel kan, for example, or in a movie kan, macam kita macam tak apalah tidur lewat untuk kita buat benda ni sebab esok tak boleh buat dah, esok kerja. And I think this phase sebenarnya among us, especially the youth lah kan, we face a lot of it and we don't even get a proper sleep point. So, in your opinion lah Dr. Ha kan, people might say that, I think before this I come across Syiffa Rosman macam, oh I need to sacrifice macam tu. So I sacrifice my sleep time. But I read this book, Why Do People Sleep? And then dia katakan macam, oh actually benda tu menyebabkan kita tak berfungsi dengan betul. Do you have
Mm-mm.
any advice for us lah who caught up in this sleep procrastination? So
Okay.
tak adalah work-life balance tu sebenarnya.
Of
Nampak
course,
je
of
kan.
course. So, well, I think especially now kan. Okay, let us go very quickly to what
Yeah.
happened before we have technology lah contohnya kan. So, before Thomas Alva Edison lah, you actually you have to do everything masa daylight. And then bila malam tu dengan lampu, yang tu memang you nak retire je lah. Okay, that is one. But of course when we can bring 24 hour of daylight into your life, tu yang buatkan, you kena have some kind of discipline jugalah. Okay, now. Another thing, we have our biological clock. Okay, and it's very interesting for you to understand. In medicine, we call it our circadian rhythm. So, badan kita ni, dia memang ada dia punya clock dia sendiri, and dia punya hormones and everything tu, dia actually keluar according to all those biological clock. So, there would be certain hormone comes out when you are sleeping, when actually it's dark outside. That's why sometimes you need to actually switch off all the lights for you to have a kind of macam, the cells in your body will know this is actually time to rest. Dan Al-Quran pun Allah katakan, Allah sediakan malam tu untuk rehat, siang tu untuk kita berusaha. Well, of course, my life become topsy-turvy lah bila jadi houseman tu kan, jadi doktor yang tak tahulah mana. Especially kalau dalam OT, did my surgery posting, masuk pukul 6.30 for a major operation contohnya, gelap lagi masuk. Habis pukul 10 malam. So, kita keluar pun kita macam, tak tahulah tiba-tiba ada ribut ke topan ke tak tahu pun. You are just in that. Okay, alright. So, you lose your orientation of time. Itu juga satu a kind of torture kalau you tengok solitary isolation punishment contohnya kalau dalam penjara they will actually put you and there is a dark, so tahu siang malam ke apa, then making you memang lose your grasp okay. So that is, I mean, the body needs sleep lah, because sleep ni yang masa tu dia and the next one is sleep lah, dia ada dia punya stages dia. I'm sure you know about this kan. Is it a REM sleep or a non-REM? REM stands for rapid eye movement. Because this is when people study, sleeping process. First, of course, you have light sleep and then you go into deep sleep. This is rapid eye movement. Kalau you tengok mata dia gerak. And this is the time when you actually get to dream. You get into your slumber. And then sebelum you bangun, you punya REM stage tu will go up and finally you bangun. When, your body says, okay, cukup. So you bangun. Right? So this is very interesting kan ya. Tapi kita ingat juga bahawa tidur tu adalah kiamat kecil kita, because dikatakan roh kita tinggalkan kita and then it comes back. So Allah Alam, yang itu mungkin Dr. tak dapat nak explain in terms of the scientific ni. So how much sleep is needed? Yeah. So basically untuk kita yang tua ni, yang this age ni, of course 8 hours tu is luxurious, and that is actually intended untuk yang budak-budak Tapi at least we should get maybe 5 hours lah. 5 hours of sleep. And actually sleep ni, kalau this has been proven lah kalau you tidur before pukul 12 malam, okay, let's say you sleep pukul 10 lah for instance kan, and by pukul 12 tu you dapat 2 jam dah kan, that 2 hours is actually equivalent to 4 hours of sleep after 12.
Oh,
Yang ni I selalu cerita kat my student lah, because dia orang macam tu lah juga nak rest ke otak prof, so main video game pukul 3 baru tidur. 3 baru tidur yang subuh tak terbabas lah. Lepas tu esok kelas pukul 8 nak start round, tak ada lah mesti. So tu kenapa you tak datang apa, saya overshoot lah Prof. Tak terjaga pagi tu. Solat pun langgar lah kan. The next question I ask, pukul berapa you tidur? Pukul 3. Kepala otak you pukul 3 you nak bangun pukul 6. Memang tak lah kan. Jadi, so kenapa yang tidur pukul 3 tu? Itulah dia ada rutin ni. So this is actually disiplin lah. Okay. So to me, you can actually do that now that I've retired. Wow, you know, I can, because tak ada banyak kerja. Sometimes I need to burn the midnight lamp juga apabila, you know, there are some deadline. Deadline is spelled D-E-A-D, deadline. You know, you are almost dead trying to meet the line kan. Tapi you tak boleh buat every time lah. And you get sleep. This might be the first time I heard about sleep procrastination, but maybe I've read about it. Tapi I'm more familiar with sleep deprivation. So you all ni, generation you all macam zombie tak? You nampak aje ni, tapi you are not functioning because you lack of sleep. Kan? Dan bila you lack of sleep, memang you punya, you lose your focus. You know, you lose your, your sharpness tu. So, your quality of job, tempat kerja pun is so-so je. And then, you kena maybe make up for it, dan you lagi tak cukup tidur. Kan ya? So, I think you can discipline yourself. Nak buat apa-apa tu agaknya, Syiffa, it's like macam orang dulu-dulu lah. They sleep in early and they wake up early.
Ya, betul.
Kan? Yang itu memang your body kan, dia punya cortisol, dia punya, so you know, all our neurotransmitter semua banyak pada pagi tu. Kan? Ni pukul 3 tu patutnya you dah nak bangun baru you masuk tidur. Dan I tanya lah kat student, apa you buat pukul 10? Tak boleh study lah bro. You buat apa? Buatlah benda lah, sembang ke apa ke kan. Tak boleh study. So bila you study, I lepas pukul 12, pukul 1 tu I boleh bro. Macam kepala otak you lah, you know. Dia kira, kalau ikutkan macam phone ni, dia dah sebenarnya dah low cell tu, low battery tu. Tapi kita force juga kan. So I now respect my body in the sense bila I katalah pukul 10 macam ni nak baca buku sekejap, tiba-tiba duk menguap ya kan. So I know this is my body asking untuk tidur. So tidurlah. So kalau kata nak tengok TV, movie, sometimes boleh lah, you know, once in a blue moon. Tapi taklah every night kan. Tapi kalau you ikut Netflix kan, demi episode tu kan, you ada binging tu. Sampai kadang tu, sampai pukul 5 duk tengok tu juga kan. Itu kalau misalnya you tak ada benda the next day, you nak sleep in tu kadang-kadang okay lah juga. Tapi if you have to go to work, macam mana tu? Then you tidur dalam train. So we are a generation of scarcity, you know. We do not have enough sleep, we do not have enough money, we do not have enough friends, we do not have enough time to enjoy life. Semuanya lack of everything. And when you are hyper aware of this lack, itu yang jadi semuanya, you know, huru-hara hidup kita ni. So
back to
it's important juga. You might say, tak boleh lah, dia dah pencen. Tu tadi I kata, kalau you tidur awal pun, you sebenarnya quality tidur you tu dah, so maknanya kalau you tidur pukul 10, maknanya sampai pukul 12 tu you dah macam tidur 4 jam tau, instead of just 2 hours. Setelah you tidur balik, it's not impossible that you bangun pukul 3. Nak kena tahajud nak apa semua, and then sama ada you tidur balik lepas tu subuh, atau selalunya pukul 3 tu you tidur balik lah katalah. Ataupun let's say you lambat sikit 4:30 for instance, and then you stay sampai subuh. Lepas subuh tu you might have to sleep sekejap lagi, until you bagilah about 1 hour, macam tu kan. So but have respect your sleep lah, make it protected time. And how do you make sure that you prioritize your sleep? Your bed tu kena bed sheet, yang bed linennya tu semua, kan kalau ikutkan Dr. Har ni, Syiffa, kalau I pergi shopping lah kan dekat mana-mana mall ke apa ke, I mesti ended up kat bed and linen. Uh, uh, and selalu dia orang ada offer kan. So you get to know which fat count yang you kena beli. And so that is actually part of trying to plan for your sleep lah. InsyaAllah.
Betul.
Okay,
Thank
ada lagi ke?
you. Ada ke yang ada question, ramai juga baru-baru masuk bila kita nak akhir dah ni, baru pula masuk. Thank you Dr. Ha for sharing about betul lah, sleep procrastination is also like sleep deprivation, tak cukup tidur. And when Dr. Ha sentuh dekat belakang tu, the place for you to sleep tu, I think it's very important juga sebab now dekat dalam bilik tidur lah ada TV, dekat dalam bilik tidur lah segala benda ada. And I think I learn this thing bila start I struggled when I started work from home. So dekat situ lah buat kerja, dekat situ lah sampai nak tidur. So I learn from the experience is asingkan tempat buat kerja dengan tempat kita untuk berehat. Because it just like will make you to have a routine. Walaupun tempat tu bukannya jauh mana, but it still make a difference. Ada question rasanya.
Hanif Abdullah. Syiffa nak baca?
In a life of so much distraction, how do we maintain focus on things that we have set as our goals?
Okay, thanks Hanif. Okay, this is really a very important question kan, sebab kita ada banyak sangat distraction kan. I guess this is what is being called as VUCA kan, the VUCA world. It's very volatile. So V stands for volatility, U for uncertainty, C for complexity, and A for ambiguity. So it's a VUCA world kan. So not that volatility itu is because everything is so fast. Tiba-tiba is here and then suddenly it's not there anymore kan. So dia volatility ni buatkan you jadi kiasu tau. You kena cepat gitu. Okay. Uncertainty. Of course uncertainty makes you feel so insecure. Because kalau sama jugalah jadi kiasu jugalah. Complexity. Things are supposed to be very simple dulu kan. But now you realize everything is all interlinked. So it's very complex. Even though the technology is there to make lives better, but we still feel crowded kan. And there's this sense of crowded complexity tu kan ya. Kenapa tak tahulah. Okay. We just want to do so many things at one time agaknya because of technology again. Dulu kita tak ada teknologi tu, sabar pula kita. Okay, yang ni can wait tomorrow kan. Now tak, semua nak buat. Gitu. And A to me is very important, ambiguity. And ambiguity is actually more towards your value and your core principles. Things supposed to be very, last time it used to be very easy kan, this is right, this is wrong. But now things that were right last time now becoming wrong, and then those who are wrong now becoming right. So dia jadi ambiguous. Okay. So Hanif Abdullah, I really feel you, you know, that life is such a distraction and mainly because of this VUCA lah kan ya. So how do we stay focused kan? Can I propose VUCA kuasa 2, you know, VUCA squared. Alright, it still goes by VUCA juga. But the V to me is there are 3 things in V, that you have to be visionary, you have to be virtuous or value added, and this has to be including your virtual world. Tu dia, ambil you V tu. Okay? Because since we might have now, been living in 2 worlds, sekarang ni our real world and also the virtual world. The you now becoming understanding your own uniqueness. Understanding uniqueness. So 2 dah. You are unique. Kadang-kadang yang buatkan distracted ni kan, Hanif, is when you start to compare yourself with others gitu. And you always feel that, you know, why am I like this? Why am I not like that person? Lagilah distracted. But if you understand your own uniqueness and you are visionary pula, and your vision might not be the same as other people. So, yeah, okay. The C now is clarity in communication. So tadilah, you can say no. You can actually, remind other people who have encroached into your space, for instance, kan, yeah? So you have to be very clear in your communication, because you know what, communication is the way you express yourself, express what is there in your cognition, which is invisible from other people, kan. So you need to be very clear what you mean. Itulah tadi kan, Syiffa, you tak boleh yes saja tu while you are meaning no. Kan? And then you pula yang stress tiba-tiba. Kan? Kalau you kata no, no lah. But of course you cannot say no. Macam tu je. You negotiate. Kan? Can I actually decline for the time being so that I can sort out my things? Tadilah ya. Especially when there's distraction kan, Hani. If you dah plan macam ni, tiba-tiba ada distraction. You need to say no, I'm focusing in this. But you know what? After I finish this, I'll tend to that. Macam tu lah. Yeah? Okay. Leaving A kan? A rather than ambiguity, we go for adaptability and agility. I think that is a very important, attributes and traits you have to master these days, that you need to be very quickly adapting. When I say adapting, it means that you cepat-cepat you align with whatever tadilah your target tadi kan. Hanif, otherwise you get more and more distracted lah, and then most likely you forgot what you start off with lah bila you distracted ni kan. So tapi kalau you are very adaptable, I'm telling you, adaptable doesn't mean that you get diluted, no. Okay. Adaptable to the technology, but mainly still remaining true to your vision and your objectives, and of course agility. I think I've talked about it kan, tapi I just mention it again. Agility is actually a very specific characteristic of those fauna found living in canopies of rainforest. Kan rainforest kan dia ada canopy kan. These canopy animals kan, they never live on the floor of the forest now. They are just there at the canopy. So this includes primates, certain primates kan, and also some fox macam keluang yang they can just fly from one tree to another, and also snakes. I was reading there's certain snakes that actually canopy punya fauna. So this fauna animal, this canopy animals kan, they have what we call agility. So if you look at the primates kan, their tails are adapted to that. It becomes their third their third hands. Because it can always cling to the next branch macam tu. And agility is when, let's say, they get hold to a branch which is too small to withstand their weight, or maybe it's an old branch kan, so it's snapped. The agility punya ability tu can make them just hold to the next branch, and to avoid them from falling kan. So dalam bahasa Melayu, it is kelincahan dan ketangkasan. So of course in this current world, orang yang lincah dan yang tangkas sajalah yang boleh survive. You tak boleh yang macam slow coach. You take you 10 years to adapt. Orang lain dah semua dah tak buat benda tu, you baru sampai. Kan so this is actually, you have to be cepat, and I beg to differ. This is not kiasu. Kiasu is just yang VUCA tu tadi tu lah. Tapi this is more of knowing just the right thing, the right knowledge, the right competency, the right skill, the right experience to make you afloat, to keep you afloat nah, so being agile, so, and of course agile ni bila you tersilap jalan, you cepat-cepat pergi balik ke tempat yang sepatutnya, so in fact Dr. Hapetan tadi cakap the aim is actually to have an agile mindset. What does that mean? You have a growth mindset, you have a beginner mindset, maknanya you always curious to learn. Ambiguity again here, uncertainty become your fuel for discovery, you know. And of course the next one is apa ya? Tak ingat pula. Biasalah kan kalau ada 4 ingat 3, yang satu lagi tak ingat dah. Tapi this is actually, you know, a mindset that is so important for this 21st century, insyaAllah. And where I hope this agile mindset ni lah yang boleh buatkan you have a more balanced life, insyaAllah, dunia dan akhirat. Okay, Syiffa.
Thank
I
you.
think, yeah.
Okay. Kalau kita tak ada question, mungkin kita kena wrap dah. I really hope. I think menjawab lah Dr. Hanif. Okay, Dr. Hanif reply. Okay. Thank you. Menjawab lah tu kiranya Dr. Ha.
Okay, Alhamdulillah.
I really appreciate the VUCA squad because I think it's kiranya melengkapkan the VUCA world yang Dr. Ha selalu explain to us. And nanti mungkin kita boleh kupaskan lah in our next session.
Okay, yeah. That should be our next session, next title, VUCA.
Yeah, VUCA.
Okay.
And I would like to conclude lah kot Dr. Ha. I would say
Boleh.
based on apa yang Dr. Ha share dengan kita and we learn from our daily life, I think work-life balance itself is a process. It's not an ending kan. It's a life cycle and we need to practice lah apa yang Dr. Ha share untuk kita mencapai the cycle of the work-life balance itself. It's not the end lah kiranya. But it's actually should be our life cycle to have the work-life balance.
InsyaAllah.
InsyaAllah. And kita boleh habis kat sini kot Dr. Ha.
Right.
Terima kasih Dr. Ha menjawab
Sama-sama.
soalan. I learned a lot. I think
Of course.
this topic mungkin orang kena cakap is very dry or anything, but I think it's very important and I learned a lot.
Alhamdulillah.
Because the technical things yang sometimes benda ni dalam buku, orang kata dalam buku self-help and some people are not willing to read. Even me myself, I feel like this is too dry for me to read. But it's really fun to listen to someone who explain it in a very good way. Dr. Ha, terima kasih so much. Terima kasih.
Sama insyaAllah.
Okay.
Till next month kita jumpa lagi
InsyaAllah.
insyaAllah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Wassalam.
wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih semua yang join. Assalamualaikum. Bye.
Waalaikumsalam. Bye.